This section, we will talk about the principles of the multilateral trading system, WTO. And for this, we must get to know what principles means. Principles mean the basic ideas. WTO's principles mean the basic ideas along throughout all of the negotiations, agreements, trade dispute settlements, and so on. Generally speaking, WTO's principles indicate what we hope the world trade to be. What we hope the world trade to be? Maybe we hope the world trade be without discrimination, free, predictable, more competitive, and more beneficial for less developed countries. Based on this, the first principle of the WTO is without discrimination. This principle includes two sub-principles. One is most favored nation treatment. The other is national treatment. Simply put, the most favored nation treatment means treating others equally. That's to say, if you grant someone a special favor, such as a lower customs duty rate for one of the products, you have to do the same for all other WTO members, whether rich or poor, big or small, weak or strong. The principle of most favored nation treatment is so important that the Article 1 of GATT, Article 2 of GATT, and Article 4 of TRIPS are all about this. Well, even most favored nation treatment is important. It has some exceptions. The first exception is free trade agreements, or FTAs. When two or more than two countries form one FTA, among themselves, they can cut the tariff rates to be zero. Well, keep tariff rates unchanged toward the imports from other members of the WTO. Such kind of conduct violates WTO's most favored nation treatment, obviously, but it's okay. The members of FTA are allowed to do like this. Article 24 in GATT and Article 5 in GATT are just about this exception. Besides FTA, generalized system of preferences, or GSP, is another exception to the most favored nation treatment. GSP allows developed countries provide professional treatment towards the products or services that are imported from some specific developing or least developed countries, while keep the same treatment toward the imports from other WTO members. Even it violates the most favored nation principle of WTO, but once again, here is the exception. It is permitted. What's more, a country can raise barriers against the products that are considered to be traded unfairly from specific countries. Even this conduct also violates WTO's most favored nation principle. In order to keep a fair trade system is permitted, but the country must get the authority from the WTO. The other sub-principle of no discrimination is national treatment, which means treating foreigners and the locals equally. This principle says imported and locally produced goods should be treated equally after the foreign goods have entered the market. The same should apply to foreign and domestic services, and to foreign and local trademarks, copyrights, and patents. National treatment principle reflects in Article 3 of GATT, Article 17 of GATT, and Article 3 of TRIPS. National treatment only applies once a product, service, or items of intellectual property has entered the market. Therefore, charging customs duty on an import is not a violation of national treatment principle. The next principle is to encourage freer trade. Lowering trade barriers is one of the most obvious means of encouraging trade. The barriers concerned here include customs duties or tariffs, and measures such as import bans or quotas that restrict quantities selectively. From time to time, other issues such as red tape and exchange rate policies have also been discussed. Since the creation of GATT in 1947 to 1994, there have been 8 rounds of trade negotiations. The first round of negotiation since the establishment of WTO under the Doha Development Round is now underway. At first, this negotiation focused on lowering tariffs or customs duties on imported goods. But from Tokyo Round, which started from 1973 and ended in 1979, the negotiations had expanded to cover non-tariff barriers on goods and to the new areas such as services and intellectual property. Opening markets can be beneficial, but it also requires adjustment. The WTO agreements allow countries to introduce changes gradually through progressive liberalization. Developing countries are usually given longer time to fulfill the obligations. The third principle is the principle of predictability. Sometimes promising not to raise a trade barrier can be as important as lowering one, because the promise gives business a clear view of the future opportunities. With stability and predictability, investment is encouraged, jobs are created, and the consumers can fully enjoy the benefits of competition. The multilateral trading system is an attempt by governments to make the business environment stable and predictable. In the WTO, when countries agree to open the markets for goods or services, they bind the commitments. For goods, the bindings amount to ceilings on customs tariff rates. Sometimes countries tax imports at rates that are lower than the bound rates. A country can change its bindings, but only after negotiating with its trading partners, which could mean compensating them for loss of trade. One of the achievements of the Uruguay round of multilateral trade talks was to increase the amount of trade under binding commitments. In agriculture, 100% of products now have bound tariffs. The system tries to improve predictability and stability in other ways as well. One way is to discourage the use of quotas and other measures used to set limits on quantities of imports. Another is to make countries' trade rules as clear and public as possible. Many WTO agreements require governments to disclose their policies and practices publicly within the country or by notifying the WTO. The regular surveillance of national trade policies through the Trade Policy Review Mechanism provides a further means of encouraging transparency both domestically and at multilateral level. As for this, some textbooks conclude them into 2 separate principles. One is the principle of eliminating the limits on the quantities of imports and exports. One is principle of transparency. The fourth principle here we will talk about is the principle of promoting fair competition. Somebody said that WTO is an institution encouraging free trade absolutely. Is it right? The answer is not. It's not entirely accurate. In fact, WTO does allow its members to use tariffs and in limited circumstances, other trade instruments to protect. More accurately, is a system of rules dedicated to open, fair, and undistorted competition. The rule of non-discrimination, it includes most favored nation treatment and national treatment, are designed to secure fair conditions of trade. Besides this, in order to fight against unfair competition, for example dumping and unreasonable subsidies, the complaining members are usually authorized to take revenge. Of course, how to determine the competition is fair or unfair is difficult. So the WTO tries to establish what is fair or unfair, and how governments can respond, in particular by charging additional import duties calculated to compensate for damage caused by unfair trade. The last principle is the principle of encouraging development and economic reform. The core of this principle is to provide developing countries, especially least developed countries, more professional treatment and assistance. The WTO agreements include numerous provisions giving developing countries and least developed countries special and differential treatment. Among these are provisions that allow developed countries to treat developing countries more favorably than other WTO members. For example, in tariff reduction, developing countries can have less cut and longer time to fulfill the commitment. Why WTO should pay more attention to developing countries and development issues? The reasons include: first is one of WTO's mission. Marrakesh Agreement established the World Trade Organization says, recognizing further that there is need for positive efforts designed to ensure that developing countries, and especially the least developed among them, secure a share in the growth in international trade commensurate with the needs of the economic development. So, from this we can find that helping developing countries to develop better is one of the missions of the WTO. Second, about 2/3 of WTO members are developing countries, and they are more and more active and influential. Thirdly, because developing countries short of competitiveness compared with the advanced countries, without more favorable treatment and assistance, maybe they will even lag behind. Advanced countries will be richer and developing countries will be poorer. The imbalanced development will impose serious uncertainty to the global economy. Lastly, if developing countries cannot be treated more favorably, it will be difficult for the WTO to achieve more and go ahead. Most of the negotiations will be more difficult to deliver results. But as for this, we also need to recognize that it's a very controversial topic. Somebody says WTO shouldn't include developing countries and development issues into negotiations and agreements. They are the obligation of other international organizations. For example, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. In the recent WTO reform debates, developing countries' professional treatment also a focus point. USA argues that WTO must stop to provide professional treatments to developing countries, or at least to design WTO's own standards to determine which countries are developing ones. However, China supports WTO to continue to provide professional treatments to developing countries and view this as a key point of the multilateral trade system.